Hello and welcome to Make a Difference, the show devoted to volunteers and volunteerism in Montgomery County. I'm your host, Bonnie Jo Ayers. May is Older Americans Month, and in celebration of this special designation, we're going to learn about some fantastic opportunities and resources available to senior volunteers who want to help others who are just beginning their life's journeys. For more than 25 years, the Jewish Council on Aging's Haman Interages intergenerational programs have brought children and older adults together. Over the years, hundreds of dedicated and caring older adult volunteers and tutors, who are the heart of Interages, have made a significant difference in the lives of children. If this sounds like something that you'd be interested in knowing more about, then stay tuned. Just after our short break, we'll be talking with a couple of people who can tell us firsthand the benefits of people from both ends of the age spectrum coming together for the benefit of both sides. But first, here are some other volunteer opportunities available in Montgomery County. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Make a Difference. I'm your host, Bonnie Jo Ayers. We're pleased to have with us Tricia Wilson, Assistant Director of the Haman Interages Center of the Jewish Council for the Aging, and Michael Rothschild, an Interages volunteer. Tricia, Michael, welcome to Make a Difference.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Tricia, let's start with you and find out a little bit about the center. It's a fantastic place. It's award-winning, has produced some award-winning programs and has loads of volunteers. But let's talk about what its purpose is and how it accomplishes what it's meant to.
Sure. Well, Interages was founded in 1986 by Austin Haman with the goal really of creating a more age-integrated community for Montgomery County. There's very few opportunities for students, children, and seniors to come together, and he wanted to remedy that. So he started by bringing them together at school sites. Started with programs such as Grand Buddies, where they brought seniors in to help preschool age students, and it's just really evolved from there. Last July, we merged with the Jewish Council for the Aging, so now the Haman Interages Center is a program of the JCA. It's been a fantastic partnership, and it's grown our programs as well as our volunteer base. On average, we have about 200 volunteers that go into the schools each week. They tutor and mentor students, and they really form partnerships with the kids to help them improve academically, socially, and emotionally.
Now, and when you get down to it, and this is a point that I like to make, it's a really very simple concept. It's bringing together the older people with life experiences, and the younger ones who need to hear that and can benefit from their knowledge, really. And this is reflected in the programs. You mentioned a couple, but let's just talk for a minute about the variety of programs you have, and I think that's one of the beauties of the whole thing. It started with some basic programs, but it's expanded, I guess, over the years as the needs have arisen.
Right, that's true. We have a great collaboration with MCPS, so as the needs of the county school system have changed, then we've adapted and changed our programs. A need arose several years ago to improve the literacy rates for second grade students, and we jumped at the chance to be involved in that. We have fantastic volunteers who are wonderful resources in the community. We have a lot of retired teachers who volunteer with us, but then we also have people who never taught and just are wanting to connect with students and help them improve their skills. So we have mentoring programs for students who are recent immigrants to the States, and I know Michael will touch on that because he's one of our fantastic volunteers. We have opportunities really to connect with kids at every grade level, from pre-K, Head Start, who are your little 4-year-old guys, all the way up to high school. So we really have an age. If you have any interest in working with kids, we have a program where we can connect you.
Well, what a great promo for the program you are. Before we talk to the one of the fellas on the front line, so to speak, Michael, and you've given him a perfect introduction, one of the fantastic volunteers. Let's give some information about how people will like to give your email address and a phone number where they can, find out what's available, and that's what it's all about.
Sure. They can always call me directly. My number is 301-949-3551, and my email is twilson@accessjca.org.
And is there a main number for the center in case they want
The
to
3551 number is the main number, yeah, but it goes directly to my desk, so they'll get me.
Either way,
That's
way
right.
they will get you. You can't lose
That's
on that one. Michael, you have been touted already as a fantastic volunteer, and
thank you.
I think from talking to you before the show, I think that's probably true. How long have you been with InterAgents, and how did you get started?
Well, I got started with InterAgents about 5 years ago, shortly after I retired from the federal government. And I was looking for an opportunity to volunteer, especially volunteer with kids. I had a lot of free time at the time, and I was thinking of ways to use it that would be more beneficial to the community and give me a chance to give back to the community.
And how did you start out? Yeah, I like your story because I call you a multitasking volunteer. You just didn't start with one program and stick with that, and I think this is something to be said for the program, that you don't have to do just one thing. What did you start out with, and what do you work with now? What kind of programs do you work with?
Well, I started with two programs, Bridges and Global Wizards. Global Wizards taught geography to grade school kids, and Dialogues was a dialogue between older people and high school kids, usually in a leadership group in high schools, and that went very well too. I enjoyed both programs. Global Wizards has since been discontinued. I still participate in Dialogues, but nowadays I participate more in Bridges and the Math Club. Math Club teaches math to grade school kids, and Bridges is a program that mentors middle school kids, often that are new arrivals to the United States and have perhaps language difficulties or culture difficulties in learning to adjust to school in the U.S.
Now, did you have any kind of life or career experience with either of these fields, like math or connecting with international students and young people?
No, my occupation did not involve geography, math, teaching, any of it. I was a computer systems analyst for the federal government, and I'm not teaching computers. But I enjoy math. I've always enjoyed math, and I think I'm good at teaching concepts of math. So I enjoy that part of it.
And you mentioned something interesting about working with maybe the new arrivals, some of the younger new arrivals in the country. Yes, we understand the need for them to understand English, comprehend, and even learn to speak better, perhaps. But the cultural side of understanding life here, that must be an interesting aspect.
Yeah, they're culturally, they come from very different cultures, and some of them don't even come from first world countries. I mean, my former mentee was from Tibet.
Good heavens, that's not a culture that we normally get to interact with.
Right. So they're not generally involved in the cultures of the U.S.
And there's certainly a lot to learn about our culture. I think some of us don't even understand it yet, but I think that's an important aspect of them learning to adjust to life here.
Right. And often they speak different languages. The student I have now is from El Salvador and speaks Spanish, but his English is getting better and better.
Thanks to you.
Well, I don't know about that, but his English is getting better and better.
That's something neat actually to point out about that program, because sometimes volunteers are hesitant to engage in that program because they say, well, I don't speak Spanish. And then who knows, you might have a student who's from Tibet, so who needs Spanish? And actually it's really about them improving their English communication skills, learning about American culture. So it's sort of an English-only environment anyway. So we don't ever want that to put people off in the fact that maybe they don't speak another language or they haven't traveled much themselves.
And it could be I'm sure it's a real learning experience culturally to learn about them and their culture as well. Michael, what kind of time commitment I don't want to say is required, but what's the framework for what kind of time you spend?
Well, it depends on how many programs you want to get involved in and the level of commitment you want. You can go to dialogues and maybe spend an hour and a half a week. Most of these programs, involve a day, but generally the day is not a full day. You can go in the afternoon and spend 1, 2, 3 hours usually. So it's not usually a full day, but you do have a lot of interaction with kids in the schools. As for me, I'm involved in 2 programs, so I use 2 days a week. But as I say, I don't usually have full days involved.
And so it's very flexible.
Very flexible.
Very appealing for people of our age range and so forth.
Right.
Tricia, I noticed on the website it talks about, of course, the list of the new programs, but also it talks about new programs. In addition to the existing ones. Where do the ideas come from? And it sounds like you're always looking.
We are. And we're always getting suggestions from people in the community. I think when people hear about what we do and with our goal of bringing the generations together, they kind of think, how can I incorporate that into what I'm doing? So we are often approached by nursing homes or assisted living facilities who would love to have the kids come to them. And that's a program I didn't touch on here, but that is something that we do as well. We have a program called Project Share where we bring students to the residents of nursing homes and assisted living facilities. It's just really reducing the isolation of the residents that are there and like I said, working toward that goal of integrating the age groups. So we hear from communities there, older living communities. Obviously we hear from the schools because of our great relationship with them. We try to really partner and connect with the principals, the teachers who are at the schools, and just find out what the needs are. The Math Club really sprang from a conversation with the principal at Rolling Terrace Elementary, and we said, what's happening in your school, what are your needs, and how can we connect and help you guys? And she said, we need math support for grades 3 through 5. And when you have a wonderful resource of volunteers who have the time and have the talents and the education, it's a natural fit.
This is, and Michael's all part of that. And as we wind down here, I'd like to ask you a favorite question that is interesting to me. What are the rewards for you as a volunteer working with the younger people? And I'm sure that there are rewards for them too, but what are the rewards?
Well, I think many of the rewards for older people is when you retire, you lose a sense of productivity and usefulness. Your kids are off to, on their own. You've lost a sense of usefulness to them too, and it gives you a chance to feel useful and productive again in the community. It gives you a chance to feel like you're contributing.
Well, it couldn't be better said. And thank you for all you do, Tricia. Michael, thanks for coming to tell us the story of the Intergenerational Center.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Our guests have been Tricia Wilson, Assistant Director of the Heyman Interages Center of the Jewish Council for the Aging, and Michael Rothschild, an Interages volunteer. To become involved with local volunteer organizations or projects, call the Volunteer Center at 240-777-2600 or visit their website at www.montgomeryserves.org. And remember, as a volunteer, you can make a difference. Bye-bye.
Serving your community is a great feeling. The Montgomery County Volunteer Center can connect you to hundreds of volunteer opportunities available throughout the area. Are you a student, senior, professional, community group, or business looking to serve? Simply visit our website to select what's right for you and get great ideas from past projects with our volunteer toolkits, or share a success story of your own. The Montgomery County Volunteer Center. Make an impact in your community. Where will you serve?